Hi guys and welcome to my channel. Today I be teaching you all how to crochet a Jamaican themed cover-up dress. For today's tutorial you will need a 5mm crochet hook, a 5.5mm crochet hook, scissors, a tapestry needle, and measuring tape. The yarn brand I'll be using today is Big Twist brand, which you can find at Joann's. I'll be using the colors Varsity Red, Varsity Yellow, and Varsity Green. Firstly, we're going to start on the top where the cups are. So you want to start with your red color yarn. And you're going to chain 2 using your 5.5mm crochet hook. So wrap that around, pull through, 1, 2. Once you did that, you're going to skip this first stitch that you created and go into the second chain farthest from your needle with the double crochet, where you should have exactly 1 double crochet for your first row. Next, after you've done that, you're going to want to chain 1, turn your work. You're going to go into the hole where you just double crochet and put 3 double crochets in that hole. 1, 2, 3. So then once you've done that, you're then going to want to chain 1, turn your work, and in the first stitch, you're going to want to put 2 double crochets in that stitch. So 1, 2. Then the next stitch, a single double crochet, and then the very last stitch, 2 double crochets in that stitch for a total of 5 rows, 5 stitches in the third row. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work, you're going to do the same thing where you put 2 double crochets in the first stitch and 2 double crochets in the last stitch. So 1 double crochet in the first stitch, 2 double crochets in the first stitch. Going to double crochet all the way down, across, whichever one you prefer me to say. So we get to this last stitch. Then that last stitch, 2 double crochets. So 1, 2. Chain 1, turn your work. And you want to continue to do this exact same step. Again, we're putting 2 double crochets in the first stitch, crocheting all the way across and putting 2 double crochets into the last stitch until you have 6 rows of red. So we did 4 on camera, so just do the last 2 off camera. Again, 2 double crochets in the first stitch. We're at this last stitch right here, 2 double crochets. And I have 1 more row to complete, which I'll do off camera. Finish crocheting the 6 rows in red. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stitches going across on the 6th row. So once you've done that, just create a chain, tighten it, cut your work off, and now we're going to switch to using the yellow yarn. So now we have our yellow yarn right here. We're just going to pull this through, tighten it so it doesn't come unloose. Create our starter knot, wrap around, and pull through. So now you're going to turn your work to the back, or the opposite side. Put your needle through this first loop or first stitch, whichever you call it. Put the loop that you created through, wrap around. Then you're going to do 2 double crochets in this first stitch. So 1, 2, and I'm making sure to double crochet over this yarn so it could be less cleanup at the end. So now what you'll want to do is go all the way across until you have 2 double crochets at that very end. So we're at the ends where the last double crochet is from the previous row. So we're going to go through there and put 2 double crochets in that stitch. So chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to repeat the same thing for a total of 5 rows for yellow. So we just did 1 on camera. So then we're on the second row for the yellow, and again you started off on the first stitch with 2 double crochet all the way across, and put 2 double crochets in the last stitch. You want to do that for a total of 5 rows. So I'm on my 5th row and I have exactly 1 more stitch to do. So again, just going in that last stitch with 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, we did 5 rows, chain 1, tighten it, cut your work off, and now you're going to use your green yarn, so pull that out. So now we're going to just pull that through to tighten it, turn it this way, and we're going to start it off the same exact way we started off the yellow rows. So just create your starting knot or slip knot, whichever you call it. Then you're going to want to put your needle, which you're still using our 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, through this first stitch. Put the yarn through there, pull through, wrap, pull through. So now you're going to want to go in this first stitch again with 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, double crochet all the way you get to the end. And then once you get to the end, you'll put 2 double crochets in that very last stitch. So I'm at the last stitch on this row with the first row of green. So when I go into that last stitch, 2 double crochets like you did in the previous row. So 1, 2. Now the next 2 rows will be slightly different. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work. You're going to start the row the same exact way you started off the rows previous. So 2 double crochets into the first stitch. Then you're going to double crochet all the way across, but you're not going to put 2 double crochets into the last stitch. We're at the end and we have 1 more stitch left. So usually from the previous rows we did put 2 double crochets through there. This row you're just going to put 1, so no increase at the end. Then you're going to want to do the same exact thing that you did for this row for the next row. So chain 1, turn your work, start off with 2 double crochets in the very first stitch, and then double crochet all the way across with no more increases for this final row. Well, not final, but we have 1 more row after this, but for this row. So we double crochet all the way across. Again, we only put an increase in the very first stitch, not the last stitch. So now we're going to want to do chain 1, turn our work, and we're just going to want to double crochet all the way across with no increases. So you're going to go into this first stitch with 1 double crochet. We're just going to go into the next stitch with 1 double crochet. Next stitch, 1 double crochet. Next stitch, 1 double crochet, and you're going to want to double crochet all the way across. So we're at the last stitch. Again, there's no increases for this final row. So go in there with 1 double crochet. So now we're going to cut our work off. So we're going to create a chain, tighten that, get your scissors, cut the end, pull through. So this is how it's going to look from the back. We have our yarn right here. You can just go ahead and cut that off, just to make your life easier once you finish your project and have to start weaving in your ends. But this is how the first cup will look. So now we have to create 1 more, and then we could go to the next part for the dress. So we just made our 2 cups. So we're just going to want to sit these to the side for the next step. So for the next step, you're going to want to switch to your 5 millimeter crochet hook. And then you're also going to want to switch back to using your red yarn, which again, I'm using Varsity Red from the brand Big Twist. You're going to want to create a chain that can wrap around your bust twice. So once you created a chain that can wrap around your bust twice, it should look something like this. It should be really long, which we need it long. So now you want to do is put both ends together, and we're going to want to find the middle, which is approximately right here. Lay both of your cups in front of you, and you're going to want to place the middle approximately in between both, which it doesn't have to be perfect. We can fix it at the end. So now we're going to want to switch back to using our 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. You're then going to want to create your slip knot, starter knot, whichever one you prefer to say. Boom. So again, this is about the middle right here. So we're going to want to kind of line that up together and starting over here with our loop knot on our needle. Put your needle through the yarn and then also have the chain that you created on top of the needle. You're going to want to pull through, wrap around, tighten it. So now it's connected. So now what you're going to want to do is go back into that stitch with a single crochet, go into the next stitch with a single crochet, making sure that we keep the chain that we created in between our single crochet also. Next stitch, single crochet, next stitch, single crochet, single crochet, and you're going to want to repeat this step until you get all the way across. This is how it will look once you single crochet all the way across. So now what you're going to want to do is put a single crochet right here. You don't want to put it through a stitch, but just around the chain that you created. So you're going to want to go through, wrap, wrap, pull through two. And that's just going to create like a center for us. So now what you're going to want to do, get your other cup, place it on there, and you're going to want to single crochet all the way across, just like you did for the first cup. You're going to do the same exact thing. So we're going to single crochet all the way across, making sure that the chain we created is in the middle. So once you single crocheted across, it should look something like this with your yarn going out. So now what you're going to want to do is chain one, turn your work, go into that very first single crochet with a double crochet, and we're going to do the mesh stitch. So double crochet, chain one, skip a stitch, going to the third stitch, double crochet, chain one, skip a stitch, go into the fifth stitch, double crochet, chain one, skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, double crochet, and you're going to want to do that all the way across. So we're coming up to the end of the first row of mesh stitches. So we have two stitches left, so we're going to chain one, skip this stitch, go into the last stitch with a double crochet. So now to start the next row, you're going to want to chain two, one, two. You're going to want to go into the hole, so turn your work. And you're going to want to go into the hole where you created that chain to create that space. You're going to want to go through there with a double crochet. Chain one, go through the hole, double crochet, chain one, go through the whole, double crochet, chain 1, go through the whole, double crochet, and you're going to want to do that all the way across. So we have one more hole left. So we're going to want to chain 1, which I've already done, go through that whole, double crochet, and now you'll see we have 1 stitch left. So just go in that stitch with a double crochet with no chain. And that's how we'll do our even rows. So for the next row, which will be our odd rows, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, go into the very first double crochet with a double crochet, chain 1, go into the whole, double crochet, chain 1, go into the whole, double crochet, chain 1, go into the whole, double crochet. You're going to want to continue to do this all the way across. We're coming up to the end of our third row, so we're just going to want to chain 1, go into the hole with a double crochet, and then remember we did a chain 2 to start off the previous row, so you're going to want to chain 1 and go through that chain 2 with a double crochet. So I just showed you all how to start your even rows, which would be rows 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And I just showed you all how to start your odd rows, which would be 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11, because you want to do a total of 11 rows. So once you've completed a total of 11 rows of mesh stitches, you're going to want to come back and we'll start working on the bottom part. But this is how it should look so far. Once you've finished your 11 rows, it should look something like this. So for this next step, we're going to want to create a chain that could wrap around your hips. So I'm doing a size small today, so I'm going to create a chain of 63 stitches. Once you've created your chain that could wrap around your hips, this will go around your hips, and then you want to add this additional chain so it could wrap all the way around. Sorry if I didn't explain that well. But now you're going to want to slip stitch into the very first chain on the opposite end just to connect it. Pull through all loops, wrap, tighten, and then now you're going to want to cut your work off. Pull that through, and it should look something like this now. So we've created our chain that can wrap around the hips twice, which would be our drawstring. So again, just put 2 ends together to find the middle. And once you do that, just sit that to the side for 1 second. So now, still using our 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, we're now going to work on the rounds for the bottom part of the dress. So create your slip knot, star knot, whichever one you like to call it. Then you're going to go into the very middle stitch, be on the back where you created that chain, which I put a stitch marker there to help me out, which I did 63 stitches, so my middle stitch would be the 32nd stitch. So you're going to want to pull your needle on there, wrap around, tighten it, go back into that same exact stitch with a double crochet, chain 1, skip a chain, go into the next chain, double crochet, which again we'll be doing the mesh stitch again, chain 1, skip a chain, go into the next chain, and we're going in the bottom loop, by the way, with a double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, double crochet, and you're going to want to do that all the way until you get to this point right here. I've done the mesh stitch all the way to this end, Now you're going to want to grab that chain that you created. That's going to be your drawstring for your waist. And you're going to want to flip your work. Put the chain approximately where the middle is, which you can just measure it like that. And then you're just going to want to pull it down. And now you're going to want to continue the mesh stitch, making sure that you're doing the mesh stitch with the chain in the middle, similar to how you did for connecting the tops together, the bras, whatever you want to call it. So just gonna go in there. Again, my chain is back here, chain 1. My chain still back here. Double crochet into the hole, chain 1, chain still back there for the drawstring. Go into the next hole, double crochet, chain 1, chain still right there. Go into the hole, double crochet, and you want to continue to do that across. Once you double crochet all the way across this area, you're going to be back to the chain. So you're going to move the chain that you created for your drawstring. Just push that to the front, to the side, wherever you want to go, because you're no longer be crocheting over it anymore. So now you're just going to want to finish this row off. So chain 1, move that drawstring chain, chain 1, go into the very first stitch with a double crochet, chain 1, next stitch, double crochet, chain 1, skip stitch, next stitch, double crochet. You're going to want to continue to do that until you get to this point right here. So now we're at the end. So it should look something like this right now. So we're going to want to create a chain and slip stitch into the very first double crochet we did on our round. Then we're going to want to chain 2 and double crochet into the nearest hole, which is right here. And this is how we'll start all of our even rows. So then we're going to want to chain 1, skip stitch, double crochet, chain 1, skip stitch, go into the hole, double crochet. You're going to want to continue this mesh stitch all the way around until you get right back over here. So we're coming to the end of our second round for the bottom part of our dress, and we're on again the second row. So now what you're going to want to do, chain 1, go into that next hole, double crochet. Then you're going to slip stitch into this chain to we created. So then to start off your third row and also start off all of your odd rows, you're going to want to chain 1, go into this hole, double crochet, chain 1, go into the next hole, double crochet, and then you're going to want to continue to do that on the round. Again, we're doing the mesh stitch, so we're chaining 1, skipping the double crochet and going into the hole that we created with a chain with a double crochet. So then I'll meet you all back when we get to the end of our third row. So we're coming up to the end of our third round. So this is how you're going to end all odd rows. So it should look something like this. You're going to want to double crochet into that last hole, chain 1, slip stitch into that first double crochet you did. So again, for our even rows, we're going to chain 1, go into the hole with a double crochet. Then again, you're just going to continue to do the mesh stitch all the way around, which we're on our 4th row. And this will actually be our final row for using the color red. So we're coming up to the end of our fourth row. So we're just going to, for all even rows, I'll show you all again. So let me do my last few stitches. So we have this final hole right here. Double crochet into that hole, and that chain 2 that we did, go through that space with a slip stitch, and that's how you'll end off all even rows. So now that we're about to switch colors, you're going to want to just create a chain, tighten it, and cut your work off. The next color we'll be using is the color yellow. And to start off with the color yellow, it's fairly easy to switch colors. So you're just going to want to create your slip knot or starter knot, whichever you call it. Right there. Then this hole where we just ended with the previous color, you're going to want to put your needle through that hole. So right there, put the yarn loop back on your needle, pull through. Then you're going to want to wrap it, and then now you're going to want to go in that hole with a double crochet. And this is row 5, starting with yellow. So now you're just going to want to continue to do the mesh stitch all the way around. And with the color yellow, you're going to want to do the mesh stitch for a total of 9 rows. So we'll come back once we've finished our 9 rows of yellow. Just wanted to show you all how it should look so far with the 4 rows going down for the skirt part of the dress. Very cute. But yes, this is how it should look so far. But again, go ahead and finish your 9 rows of yellow, and then we'll meet back up to switch colors for green. So I am now coming up to the very end of my 9th row of using the color yellow. So what you'll want to do, chain 1, which I've already done, go into that last hole, double crochet, chain 1, go into the last stitch or the upcoming stitch with a slip stitch, chain 1, cut your work off, and just pull it through. So then now get your green yarn, because now we're going to attach the green. So now we're going to create our slip knot. Boom. So where we just finished doing ending off the yellow, we're going to put our needle through that stitch, put the yarn on the needle, pull through, wrap around. Now we're going to want to chain 1, and instead of going back in here with a double crochet, we're actually going to go into this hole with a double crochet. Now we're going to chain 1, go to the next hole, double crochet, and again we're just going to continue to do rounds of the mesh stitch, which we're going to do 8 rounds in total for the green. So then once you come back and at the end of your final row, we'll meet back up and we'll finish the dress off. So we're coming up to the end of our 8th row of using the color green. So this is actually our final row. So what we're going to do to end this off, chain 1, go into this last hole with a double crochet, chain 1, slip stitch into the double crochet that started off this row, chain 1, tighten it, and cut your work off. Then you can just pull that through. Now we're going to switch to our 5mm crochet hook, and we're going to pull back out our red yarn, because now we're going to turn our dress to the back. And again, remember the chain we created to wrap around your hips twice. We're now going to single crochet it so it can meet in the middle to be the drawstring. Okay. To do so, we're going to create our slip knot using our 5mm crochet hook. There you go. So we're going to start on this end. So we're taking our yarn off of our needle. Start off on this end. You're going to go, it's going to be a hole right here from when you were doing the mesh stitch. Go through there, put your needle on your hook, pull through, wrap around, and tighten it just to connect it. So now what we're going to do is go into this hole right here, making sure that our yarn will be going in between our single crochet. So what we're going to do now, go through that hole with a single crochet. Then you're going to have a double crochet right here. Go through there with a single crochet. Then you got the hole. Go through there with a single crochet. You have the double crochet. There, single crochet. You're just going to want to do this all the way across. So this is what it's going to look like so far when you're like halfway done. And you'll know you're halfway because you'll have this seam right here to let you know. So once you get halfway down or across of single crocheting, you're actually going to want to, so let me finish one more stitch. So where that first double crochet was when you started off the bottom part of the dress, you're actually not going to want to put one stitch when single crochet stitch through there, but leaving the chain behind just so we could create a middle. And then now you're going to want to do the yarn from the opposite end or the chain. You're going to want to pull that this way, and now we're going to single crochet on top of that side of the yarn or the drawstring, whichever you want to call it. So once we get to the end, we're just going to slip stitch into this hole right here, create a chain, tighten it, and cut our work off. So it's going to look something like this. We're going to have our drawstrings inside, so our customer can just tuck it in rather it's just hanging down. But this is how it's going to look. So now we're going to flip our work over to the front, and we're going to not double crochet, we're going to create a chain for our straps. So to create a chain for our snap, it's actually very, very simple. You're going to want to create slip knot. Then you're going to want to put your needle through this very top hole. So through that hole right there, put your needle through. Now you're going to want to put your yarn on the needle. Oops, it went this. On the needle, pull through, wrap around, tighten it. And now you're just going to want to create a chain of 85 stitches. You could do 100 if you like it longer though, but I do 85. I just completed my 85th chain, so I'm just going to cut my work off and just pull through. So now the final step for this dress will be to weave in all of your yarn that's hanging out so it can have a cleaner look. So I'll just do an example of how I weave in some portions of the dress, but weaving in is very simple. So you're just going to want to put your yarn through your needle. I just turn my chain to the back where it looks like this, and I go in these back loops. I go in about 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I just pull through. Then you're going to want to cut your work off. And just tie it in a knot. So now I'll do one more example of how I weave in the yarn. So I'll do one more example of how I weave in the yarn. I'm actually going to weave these two ends together. So I get my tapestry needle, twirl it so it's tight enough to go through my yarn. my needle, sorry. So there it goes, it's through. Now I'm just gonna go in, like I go in like random loops, like there's not really any organization that I use to lead. So I just go like do like 2 loops right there. The next row, I just literally like just try to get my needle through any loops where I know that it's not gonna come loose. And I just pull it through, cut my work off, and that's really how I weave in. So you could just weave in all of your stitches or your hang yarn, whatever you want to call it. It will come back to tie everything together. So turn your work to the back. So you're going to count down 4 rows, and you're going to grab the chain going this way. Count down 5 rows. I apologize. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This hole right here. Put this piece of the yarn through there. Then on the opposite end, you're going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull it through there. And then you're going to want to do the same thing again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go through. You're going to want to tie it. That's how the back will look. You'll have your drawstring right here. Pan it out so you all can see better. This is how the dress will look. I'll put it on my mannequin so you all can get a better view. So this is how the front of the dress looks. This is how, sorry, it's a little crooked, but this is how the back of the dress will look.